Alright, hey, I'm here to talk about text structures today, guys. You've already gotten a review about it in class, and we've already gone over the 5 major text structures. So this is going to be a video that's a little bit more in depth and gives you some hints and tips for using text structure when you're reading nonfiction text. We're going to go over the 5 text structures. I'm going to give you some hints that'll help you when you're reading identify which text structure it is. And we're going to talk about how that text structure helps the reader gain understanding from what they're reading. All right. So to begin with, this should look familiar. It is straight out of your OneNotes and your Mr. Learn a Lot. It lists the 5 different text structures that we cover and some other information about its definition, a graphic organizer that'll help you organize the information, and then some clues. So, like I said, there are 5. You've got description, compare and contrast, order and sequence, which is also called chronological, don't forget that, problem and solution, and cause and effect. Each of these different text structures is something that an author uses when he's writing nonfiction text in order to organize the information. It helps the reader figure out and gain meaning from the text. There's a bunch of stuff on this one picture that's going to be super useful. So if you don't study anything else and you never watch this video again when you're getting ready to take a test or to do some reading, use this picture because it's got everything that you need. So let's quickly go over it. So you've got description, first of all. Description, honestly, almost any sort of nonfiction text can be considered to be organized with description. Description is simply the author providing details about what the subject matter is. So if it's an article about fox, then a fox is going to talk about the fox's characteristics and that type of thing. If it's an article about the amendments, then it's going to give you all sorts of information about the amendments. It's not really structured in any other way other than to give you information. The graphic organizer that we use is typically a bubble map. So the item that you were talking about is going to go in the middle and all the details kind of flow out from the middle of that bubble. Clues that are going to tell you its description are use of adjectives, so describing words, it's talking about the characteristics, and it's going to give you different examples. There aren't really any words that are clue words that are going to tell you its description. It's just going to be those adjectives and characteristics. The other 4 text structures have a lot more clues to help you. For instance, when we talk about compare and contrast, the author is taking a look at 2 different things, and he's talking about how those things are the same and how they're different. So the very first clue you're going to have is if the piece that you're reading talks about 2 very different items and talks about how they're the same and different, then that's going to give you a clue that you're talking about compare and contrast. This graphic organizer right here should be very familiar. We've been doing them since you were little. It's a Venn diagram. You put the things that are different on the outsides of the circle and the things that are the same go in the middle of the 2 circles. When you're reading something that has to do with compare and contrast, this word right here, both, is almost always going to show up because it's going to talk about how both things, either how both things are the same or both things are different. Also, the words same and different are going to come up a lot. Order and sequence, or chronological, is the big boy, big girl word. Chronological. That's when you put things in order. So it's going to be the steps of something, or it's going to be something in time order. A lot of times you're going to see words like first, next, last, finally. Anytime you see the steps of something, or you see the actions of something in order, you know that that is going to be organized in order and sequence. Problem and solution. Kind of self-explanatory. That's where the author is giving you information about a problem and then explains the solution. So the graphic organizer we use often looks similar to this right here. It's going to have 2 pieces. It's going to have the problem and then it's going to have the solution. It might have several solutions, but there's always going to be something that needs to be fixed. So you're going to be looking for words like solved, fixed, and problem and solution honestly come up a lot, especially that word problem. You're going to see that, and that's going to automatically tell you that this text is organized as a problem and solution. The last one is cause and effect. Cause and effect is used when the author is describing an event or several things and why it happened and what happened because of it. So if something happened, well then what happened because of that first event? Cause and effect. So if you see this type of graphic organizer, not so much this bubbly thing here, but arrows, a lot of times you'll see this, a cause, and then you'll see a box like this that might have several effects. You could also see it the other way, not to be confused. You could see an effect and then also several causes. That's more what a graphic organizer for a passage that's been organized with cause and effect is going to look like. The very biggest keyword in cause and effect is because. Now here's the thing. You can't just look for keywords. You cannot skim a passage and say, ooh, word because, cause and effect. You actually have to read the passage because a lot of the times the word because might show up in there. The word both might show up in there. So you have to read for meaning and figure out, are they really comparing two things and using the word both? Or are they just talking about two things randomly in a passage? So you can't just skim and scan for those keywords. You actually have to read for meaning. All right, you want to try a couple examples? Talk about description. This is one we've been doing a long time. We all know that this right here, this bubble map, is something that we've been filling out for ages. I'm going to read the passage to you, and I want you to listen. I'm telling you this is description. You don't have to do any work. It says, all the right gear. No matter what winter sport you participate in, you will need winter gear. Long johns, which are tight pants and shirts, help trap heat against your skin and are often worn under regular clothing. Fluffy winter jackets and snow pants are important if you're going to be in the snow for long. Heavy boots and a warm hat and gloves and goggles are other winter staples. Now, being from New York, you know, I already have all those things, and you probably didn't think about goggles being a winter staple. I knew right away that this is going to be descriptive because it's a list of things that you need to go and hang out in cold weather. If you're going sledding or tobogganing or skiing or ice skating, or you're going to go play the awesome sport of hockey, you need a lot of these materials. So when I take a look at a bubble map, I know we're talking about cold weather gear. And I can tell you this is descriptive because then it goes on to kind of list everything you need. Goggles to protect your eyes, especially if you're skiing. You need long johns, which for those of you who don't know are also called long underwear. It's like a real tight piece of clothing you wear underneath everything else to keep you warm. You also could use mittens, hats, gloves, boots. It goes on and tells you all of the materials that you need in order to be prepared to play outside in cold weather. It doesn't use any of the keywords, and it really just gives me a list of characteristics. It's how I know that this is description. All right, if we talk about compare and contrast, remember that's looking at two different things, and that Venn diagram that we're very familiar with shows up. Oh, and that's not how you spell Venn diagram. All right, so now that I've spelled it right, we've got a Venn diagram. Listen to this passage. It's a plane, it's a bird, it's a bat. Is it a bat, a bird? No way. Bats, unlike birds, are mammals, whereas birds are part of the bird family. Not just a featherless bird, bats actually have fur covering their bodies. In contrast to a bird who is born in an egg to hatch and kept safe by its mother, bats are born alive and they survive on their mother's milk. Both a bat and a bird have wings, but bats also have hands and fingers. Even their sleeping habits are different, with bats sleeping upside down during the day and birds sleeping in nests at night. I want you to take a quick look right here. We've got the word different and we've got the word both. Because I read for meaning, I saw the word both and the word different, and I know automatically that we're talking about comparing and contrasting. We're talking about bats and we're talking about birds. Now, this passage tells me things that are the same and different. It says that both a bat and a bird have wings, so I could put wings right here in the middle of my Venn diagram because that's something that they both have. Bats and birds both have wings. But it tells me over here that bats are mammals. They survive on their mother's milk, and birds are birds. Remember your animal classifications from 4th grade. They're born in eggs, while bats drink mother's milk. There are other facts in there that I could add to my Venn diagram, but you get the picture. It talks about things that are the same, talks about things that are different. Therefore, it is compare and contrast. All right, order and sequence is also kind of easy to identify when you see it. Let me read this one to you. It says, taming the beast. When a wildfire breaks out, there are several steps to stopping it before it can spread further, called wildfire suppression. First, teams attack the fire by applying fire retardant on flames and around unburned areas. This prevents the treated land from catching fire when the fire travels in that direction. Then, firefighters on the ground fight fire with water, by removing as much fuel as they can, like leaves, furniture, or anything else that may catch fire, and by digging trenches that flames can't jump. When the flames go out, firefighters mop up the land by cooling areas that are still smoldering. My keywords in this one tell me that it's definitely going to be order and sequence because look, I've got the word first, then, and somewhere else I think there's another one in there. Can't find it right this second, but I know that it's order and sequence because it's telling me the order that they do things. First, they do? They apply a fire retardant. What that means is they apply like a foam or a spray that keeps things from burning. So they apply a fire retardant. Keeps the fire from spreading. Retardant. And then it says, then the firefighters on the ground fight with water. So step 2, they fight with water. They remove the fuel, like leaves and other things that burn quickly. And when the flames go out, they mop up the land by cooling those areas. This is order and sequence. It's the steps that somebody does something. Remember that word that we talked about, chronological. It's a long word. And if you remember your roots and stems from 4th grade, you'll remember that chron means time. Chronological means the time in which things are done, the order in which they're done. So you can see that these steps are in order. They're in a timely fashion. They're in timed order. First, next, last. That's how we know this is order and sequence. You might also see passages that give you directions. For instance, if you saw a passage about making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it might say, get out the bread. Then you're going to need the peanut butter and jelly and a knife. Spread the peanut butter and bread. Anytime you see a passage that gives you the directions to do something, that's also in order and sequence. All right, problem and solution. Problem and solution is going to present you with a problem, but it's also going to tell you how to fix the problem. So let me read you this passage. It says, protecting the famous. Being a celebrity comes with its challenges, privacy and security being the main ones. To keep themselves safe from paparazzi, which are the people who follow celebrities and take pictures and videos for them, excited fans, and even angry people, celebrities have a few solutions. They can hire personal security to follow them around. They can have security cameras and teams in their homes, and they can even purchase cars with special glass and doors to keep them safe from the outside. So if you had read this, you would know right away that this is going to be problem and solution because there are several key words. First, it's got the word challenges. Well, challenges is a synonym for problem. It also says right here the word solutions. It's kind of a giveaway that it's going to be problem and solutions. All right, so you've got a problem. The problem is keeping celebrities safe. Celebrities safe. Ooh, that's sloppy. Sorry about that. So keeping celebrities safe. And then it gives you several solutions. In this specific graphic organizer, there's only space to put one. However, you can always number them. So 1, it says hire security. It also says they can have cameras in their home, security cameras. It also said they can buy special cars that have special glass or tints that keep paparazzi and other people from seeing into the cars as they travel. Remember, problem solution is similar to cause and effect. You could have also seen something where you have a problem and then several solutions. It could have been split up like this. So you just need to be careful to read and figure out what type of graphic organizer you need if you're asked to organize the information from an article. All right, last we've got cause and effect, a closer look at the sinking. While many had believed the Titanic was unsinkable, it floundered on April 15, 1912. Although it looked like the ship would miss the iceberg, because bergs are wider underneath, the ice scraped and the ship under the water, causing several holes. Even though watertight compartments could take in water and the ship would stay afloat, only 4 could be flooded. Water spilled through the compartments, causing 5 to be flooded, and ultimately the Titanic sank. I know this is cause and effect straight away because it has the word cause in it several times. So I know that the Titanic sank, and I can see these different cause and effect from it. So they say that the Titanic is unsinkable. Well, it turns out it wasn't. So we know in this particular case, it's backwards, a backwards type of graphic organizer. So the Titanic sank is actually the effect. And if you look carefully, it gave you the causes. It hit an iceberg, and then it said that 4 of those compartments could flood, but 5 flooded, causing the ship to sink. All right. So we know it's cause and effect because of those keywords of causing and the fact that it tells us the effect the Titanic sank and the causes for it. So when you're reading nonfiction text, what you really need to remember is to read very carefully. Look for those clue words that are going to tell you which text structure it is. And when you're asked to organize your data using one of these graphic organizers, think about what makes the most sense. Hopefully this helps you remember all this.